Thank you so much, Viveka, for joining us on this podcast at Dawdle.live. And again, we are extremely thankful to all the leaders like you who have been giving us a lot of love, affection, and have been watching our shows, have been on our platform, keep on supporting us because we truly believe on one thing that only leaders can help leaders. Thank you so much, Viveka, for joining us. We have a very interesting set of questions, or I should say topics aligned for this discussion. But before we go there, would love to give a warm introduction about Viveka. I know you for the last 1 month, I think, and crazy professional. She's a seasoned product and data transformation leader with over 15 years of experience across banking, consulting, and enterprise technology. She has worked with company companies like Commonwealth Bank, where she has driven data and analytics led product initiatives, also leading global data solution delivery programs. With prior roles at EY and Unilever, he has successfully managed large-scale finance transformation and IT modernization projects as well. She's known in the industry for combining product thinking, agile delivery, and data strategy to enable scalable, high-impact business outcomes. Thank you so much, Viveka, for joining us.
And thank you so much, Rishi. It's been a pleasure, and I'm sure we're going to have a great conversation. And thank you for the really warm welcome.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Viveka, first question is around the traditional IT delivery to data driven product ownership. There has been a transition in that, and you have evolved in your career from managing IT and transformation programs to now owning data and analytics product in a global banking environment. So, would like to pick your mind on like, what are the biggest mindset and capability shifts that you experienced while you were moving from project delivery to owning data products that directly influence business decisions?
Well, Rishi, if I have to tell you, the biggest shift was in the way of thinking. That is from thinking about your work from a project perspective to a product perspective. Okay, it takes an inherent shift in the way you think and the way you look at things.
Yeah.
So when you start owning products, right, you become a key enabler and you directly influence your customers, which brings you closer to the organizational objectives. So you don't look at your work related tasks like deadlines or budgets. You start looking at your work in terms of what the customer needs. And for every decision you take, you keep your customer's needs and your customer in your primary focus. Okay. And this invariably makes everyone in the organization more aligned, not only to the business objectives, but also it helps you stay ahead of your competitors in the market.
This is such an interesting perspective. Rather than focusing on deadline, we start focusing on what the customer needs. That's a great mindset shift. Can you share a situation, Viveka, like, where a data product or an analytics initiative that you led significantly changed how business teams operated or made decisions?
Well, let me give you an example. When I was working for a bank,
Yeah.
so we developed a product which was heavily based on data and analytics. So it gave analytics insights on customer spends, and that is based on the customer data that the bank accumulates.
Yeah.
And we developed a analytics program which forecast the expenses categorized by age group. So we had some really interesting insights, right? I'll give you a very specific example. The analytics showed that which age groups of customers are likely to book flights for holidays in which season. So now this gives us a very, very targeted approach
Yes.
where we can give more targeted offers for travel, and we can open a partnership with some aviation industries, increase our revenue significantly.
Yes, this is a pretty interesting use case. I think a lot of these travel companies will need this, like
Oh, yeah, yeah, big time.
Expedias of the world, like, right? No, Viveka, when we talk about large financial institutions, data programs are complex because they impact risk, customer experience, compliance, and business growth simultaneously. And based on your experience delivering global data and analytics initiatives what are the biggest challenges that you faced in terms of aligning business, technology, and data teams, and how do you ensure that successful execution?
If you see, these corporate organizations, so
Mm,
any large corporate organization, they amass terabytes of data globally and in
mm,
a single day. Multiply that by 30
mm,
and then by 365
mm.
and imagine that for a second. In a world, even with now AI rising,
Yeah.
data is the king. Okay.
Mm,
And even an AI model, uh, which has the best of the technology, is as good as the test data that is fed into it for its training. And of course, if we have data lakes, data warehouses, data stores, and those are pretty common nowadays.
mm.
And now it's very easily available because there are a lot of cloud-based subscriptions.
Yeah.
But when you come to big data itself, big data is more than just collecting data. It is
Yes.
making sense of data.
Mm,
So anyone who makes sense of the unstructured data that has
mm,
been collected has
mm,
an undue advantage in the market. But when you're dealing with data in such a huge quantity, it
mm,
does get overwhelming. And the biggest challenge that at least we faced
mm,
was when we were dealing with big data, we have to kind of move those data and in a very complex technical architecture.
mm,
So the biggest challenge was the portability. So data as such should flow freely, and
mm,
our leaders used to say data should flow like electricity,
mm,
where no matter how many source systems are there or how many processing units are there in the process flow, it
mm,
has to flow very freely. Now, how do you, do that in a large organization where there are independent teams, products, and there are so many databases? So what we do is we start from the very beginning. So you determine and define the data lineage.
yeah.
So an organization that has a strong discipline towards data lineage can manipulate data much quicker. And when it comes to rogue data or anything that is not unstructured, it becomes much more easier and it draws a clear picture.
Yeah.
So what data lineage does is it just takes the journey that the data takes from the conception,
Mm,
then the transformation that each of the processing units that does in the ETL flow to its
yeah.
final destination where the leaders take it and make sense of it.
Yeah.
So that makes the data governance a breeze, especially when you create transparent audit trails for regulatory bodies, etc.
Great, Viveka. Can you share us an example where a strong data foundation helped unlock measurable business value?
Um, well, I personally believe that if you put garbage in, then you get
Mm,
garbage out.
yes.
So to unlock maximum business value, what you have to do is rather than just focusing on the solution
Yeah.
and just the delivery of a product, emphasize on the data quality, which is
Yes.
actually the soul of the product,
Mm,
right? So when you have a centralized pool with global data attributes, that becomes a game changer. So that means that when you get reports from multiple source systems, right? Any number of reports for any dashboards, it becomes more easy and more importantly, it becomes consistent. But to have such a system is a really big challenge
yes.
because most of the organizations have systems that are developed in silos and they don't have proper documentation because let's face it, who likes documentation? So, poor data quality also results from incorrect business rules, etc.
Yes.
So what we'll have to do is to manage strong data foundations. We
Yes.
have to build systems
Mm,
that has a centralized business process workflow, and which is what we did. We built such a system, and
mm,
we also had a standard metadata template,
mm.
which means it can ingest data from any number of source systems. And when it gives the report, everything is consistent. It sounds really simple, but in actuality, I think it's far from it. So once we have successfully built that pathway, right?
Yes.
generating reports for compliance regulations, and we had to give reports to regulatory bodies like GDPR, ABS, APRA, etc. So it usually took us few days, worth
Yes.
of effort. Then after we had a centralized system, it became mere minutes.
So in the previous one, you talked about data lineage, which is very important. Here, you kind of told about the importance of data foundations,
Yeah,
decentralized data foundation.
yeah,
Uh, and then you also mentioned a very important point is that bad business rules are a result of bad data foundation,
absolutely.
right? So Viveka, I think a lot of businesses would have failed because of poor data foundations. Like,
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense when you have a small business, but
uh,
as you start scaling, it is very important to make sure that your business flows or your business processes are consistent and centralized.
yes. That is what. So I was also talking to Pankaj Rai of Aditya Birla Group, and he was exactly iterating the same thing. Is that why for all the group of companies which Aditya Birla has, there is a centralized data team because that is
Mm.
very critical right now. Yes. Viveka, you have led, transformation and finance improvement initiatives across large global enterprises and banking environments. From your experience, what differentiates a transformation program that successfully deliver long-term impact versus those, a lot of them, who struggle and fail?
Well, for me, the short answer is change management.
Manage.
Okay. Invariably.
Yes.
So deciding a flawless organizational change setting at the top is easy.
Yes.
Okay. But the problem is one size does not fit all.
Yes.
So how effective the change permeates to all the necessary parts of the organization determines whether the transformational program succeeds or fails. For example, like you can bring your high-tech digital recording tools for measuring, let's say, parameters in an assembly line. Okay.
Yes. Hmm.
But if the factory workers do not trust the system or they
Ah,
do not simply know how to operate the system, they will still do things manually.
yes.
Effort and time will still go in recording the parameters manually while you have spent like probably millions of dollars developing that digital system. So change management is, I know there's an important part is just user training.
Yes.
So what people fail usually is to tell the end user or whoever is affected by that change is
Hmm.
why this change is happening and
Yes.
how it will actually be beneficial for them and in turn the whole company.
Yes.
So what as leaders you have to do is get everyone on board
Yeah.
and that will make your transformational program succeed.
Yeah, that is exactly what I used to do while I was at Vedanta like 10 years back, aligning people on the digital transformation initiative. And people used to
That's
tease me,
that, that is
"Iska
the
kya
biggest
job hai?"
challenge, right?
People used to tease me, Viveka. They used to tell that you are a useless resource, you don't have any work, like you just keep on aligning. I used to tell this is the most important thing, boss. Like,
I know it's the most important thing.
and I think you've already covered the role of leadership alignment and business ownership, which they
Mm.
play in ensuring transformation success. It has to come from the top, Viveka, right? It's like the leaders have to be aligned.
It has to come from the top, but there's also, I mean, of course, it is very important to have leaders and business aligned during transformations. And leaders, well, they especially play a very vital role.
Yeah,
For the change to actually take root.
yeah,
But the center of any change is people, and
yeah.
people look up to their leaders to ease that change into their environment. And also, we should take care that it doesn't disrupt their psychological safety. Usually, corporates do their transformation with a top-down approach, right?
Yes,
Where you do announcements from executive leadership teams. What people fail to do is to realize the importance of bottom-up change management. And that
yeah,
we have to do with the help of the people leaders. And
mm,
usually these executive leaders are not privy to all the feedback from the people who are actually affected by the change. I
mm,
mean, uh, they don't have the means nor the bandwidth. And but here is where change leaders or people leaders should step in and
Mm.
bridge that gap. So if they are given the authority to drive that change,
Yeah.
they can focus and make it more customized because they know how to deliver that change in a way that the team will respond positively. And to do that, not just the executive team, the organization as a whole should have strong core values and should focus not just on the products, but also on the wellness of their employees as well as their customers.
Right. Yes. And when we talk about financial institutions, they rely heavily on data for risk management, customer insights, and operational efficiency. How have you seen the role of data evolve from just reporting to becoming a strategic decision making tool within the organization?
Well, Rishi, data has always been the center of decision making.
Mm.
Mm, And it's now that we can make sense of the historical data and the real time data. Now we have started seeing those patterns.
Mm.
And we have started teaching those machines to see those patterns, learn those patterns, and do predictions. So now forecasting has become easier.
Mm.
Cost management is a big game changer. That is, when you have to manage your capex and opex more
Mm.
reliably, you do with those forecasts. So leaders who are able to gauge where their spending will be split throughout the year,
Mm.
especially in areas of your organizations where which is vendor based or service based,
Mm.
where the billing is
Yes.
done based on the services from the vendors and
Mm.
that too on a need basis.
Mm.
This is where the predictions and the forecasts comes handy. Manage the cost, that makes everyone happy.
Yes. Yes. And can you share an example where better data visibility or analytics helped prevent risk or identify a new opportunity?
Um, Yeah, and every organization, every financial organization,
Yeah.
including the one that I worked for, has their main objective is to make the customer happy. And
Yes.
one of the things that we did was to run analytics, and we
Mm.
monitored them in real time. We
Mm.
used to have, or we still have, indications on a customer's regular and irregular daily spend. So the irregular daily spends will be flagged as troublesome. So we had a separate team. A separate team investigates them and
Mm.
tries to determine the cause of these anomalies. So,
Mm.
Rishi, there were times we discovered domestic abuse victims who were
Mm.
coerced to withdraw their savings by their abusing partners. So, upon investigation, once it's confirmed, we hand those cases to the local authorities who take appropriate actions. There were other times where our flags shows indication of bereavement. That
Mm.
is when in old couples who lose their partner, one of their partner, they need time to gather themselves and
Right.
start handling finances independently.
Mm.
So when such situations arise and we verify them, we
Mm.
give them leeway for them to take some time off and they can
Yeah.
start repaying their dues to their bank in due course of time.
These two are very, kind of pertinent use cases. And they're real problems, like,
They
absolutely.
are real problems, real world problems, and use data to make people's life better.
Viveka, with the rise of AI, real time analytics, and digital banking, the role of data leaders is also rapidly expanding. So, based on your experience, what are the key capabilities that will define successful data and product leaders like?
Well, AI is the thing, right?
Hmm.
So if you see the next 5 years is going to be pretty eventful.
Yeah.
So AI has rightfully garnered attention because
Hmm.
now is the time when the corporate world is seeing substantial impact of its race,
Hmm.
especially its competence. So we are right now in the narrow AI era, and I
Hmm.
believe the general AI era is right on the horizon. It will be here before we even know it. And what does this mean for leaders in data and product space? I would say that focus on AI safe solutions.
Hmm.
Safety is the most underrated aspect of any AI model.
Yeah.
And all technology leaders agree on this one thing:
Hmm.
create safety measures for how AI should operate in your organizations. But keep in mind the tremendous potential of AI. because humanity is going to experience this shift for the first time ever. And it
Mm,
won't be anything like, any of the revolution, like industrial revolution, because AI is not a tool. It is going to be a replacement. And giving AI free rein means danger. And really, especially if AI agents have the general thinking abilities like humans. So spend some time and skill in developing safe frameworks for general AI models.
this is. And any advice that you would like to give to professionals looking to transition from delivery roles into a strategic data and product leadership roles?
Um, if you ask this to any leader, Rishi, everyone starts advocating for upskilling.
Mm,
Uh, I mean, it is really important. And especially with the technology world being constantly in flux,
mm,
you have to upskill to stay ahead. And there is no question about it. But what will become more important is to
mm.
focus on one's EQ and how you form your interpersonal connections. In a world where AI will take care of every technical job, you have to ensure your business strategy stays in the primary focus. And that would require human alignment.
Yes.
Uh, the ideal world scenario would be AI assisting humans to run business with
Yeah.
humans still in the loop. And
Yes. I
managing humans is not easy. I would say it's an art. So learn how to be a leader and not a taskmaster. And I know it's easier said than done. I'm sure you would agree.
That's the need of the day in India.
Yeah. So how the future will play out, and especially in the product delivery roles, how AI is going to impact, we will have to wait and see.
Now, one interesting question. In your last 15, 16 years of experience, do you remember some of your favorite moments like in your professional career?
Yeah,
Some favorite moments where something happened, you're really proud of it. Like,
I do. I had some moments.
do you want to share one?
So I'm a people leader. More the first and the foremost thing, more than anything, I'm a people leader. So before I develop or we start delivering a program or a project or anything for that matter, I make sure the team is aligned.
Mm,
So I took a very distributed team,
mm,
which were in different countries, who did not even align to the objectives, made sure they all came to the same page, did a workshop,
mm.
and what people could not deliver in 5 years, we delivered in 2 months. And that is the power of teamwork.
Yes.
And I will always be proud of the team that I work for. And yeah, uh, an organization is its people, and your products comes after.
Thank you so much, Viveka, for sharing these insights and your experiences with our global audience, and especially completely aligned with this fact that people should not forget that people make organization, and people alignment, people leaders are very important for any organization. Thank you so much for sharing your insights on AI, impact of AI, especially from the banking industry perspective and BFSI perspective. And thank you so much for also sharing your experiences on how AI will impact, how technology is impacting, what is the role of people leaders, how can we make digital transformation successful. Thank you so much for sharing all these insights. We look forward to hosting you again, maybe on a different set of topics. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rishi. It's been a pleasure.